How's everyone doing? Welcome back to another podcast. We are 9-4 and more. We talk Jaguars football and other news around the NFL. Brandon, it's been about 2 weeks since we've done a podcast here, but the Jaguars get absolutely whooped up on by the Seattle Seahawks, 31-7. Where do you even want to start? I mean, I don't even know where to start.
I mean, you could literally start at any level of offense, defense, special teams. They lost every single one of them. So it didn't matter, doesn't matter where you start. It's not good on any of the fronts. It was one of the worst Jags football. I mean, the score wasn't score's pretty bad. It's probably not the worst loss ever in Jags history, but you might as well put it in there as one of the worst overall performances almost ever by this Jacksonville Jaguars team, in my opinion, against the talent they were going up against.
Oh, absolutely. I do want to start things off on a positive note. Always going to be positive. There are I would say about two players that I thought stood out. Actually, three. The first one for offense, I think Darren Arnold looked good. I think since we traded for him, he's gotten better each week. So definitely, as of right now, we won that C.J. Henderson trade, in my personal opinion. But Josh Allen, I thought, had a good game. He had 2 sacks, had a bunch of tackles. I think even the past 3 weeks, he's ranked as the 4th defensive end or linebacker, whatever you want to call him.
He's been getting pressures the last couple of weeks. Doesn't
and
matter.
Dewan Smoot, I thought, had a very good game as well. But other than that, those were only the bright spots of the team.
Yeah, everybody else had some of the worst games they've ever played. We were looking like middle school out there. I don't think I've ever seen consecutive 12 men on the field on back-to-back plays.
And on the defense, the side.
Yeah, and on defense, which is you're not changing as much as you are on offense with the huddle, and you can freely do it. And I got it twice, and I couldn't believe it. I don't think I've ever seen that before, and that kind of just summed up the whole game of just even coach. It was one of the worst coaching performances we've seen, but definitely I also want to put Agnew. I don't know, he didn't do. I mean, I think he got the touchdown late, but I think Agnew's clearly at this point almost the second best receiver the Jaguars have on the roster. So I think they got a good steal in him. I think he's moving forward next year, maybe the year after that. He'll play wide receiver for this team and do all the special teams. So if you find that guy relatively for the price that we're paying him to do all that stuff, is pretty good. So there's another positive, but outside of those 4 players, Trevor's still a positive. I don't think Trevor Lawrence was the reason really for this loss. He didn't play.
He did struggle a little bit, but all of it's not all his fault though.
The offensive line had one of the worst games. You may look and see only 1 sack on there. He was basically pressured every single throw of that entire game. And then the interception was really on Tavon Austin. I don't know why Tavon Austin is out there on that play like that. But Tavon Austin didn't run the route that obviously everybody else thought he should have ran. Kind of just gave up on the play. You see the clip and he's kind of just jogging towards the end zone instead of cutting for the ball. So I almost don't even put that interception on Trevor. That seemed more on the wide receiver just not running the route he's supposed to run.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And speaking of offensive line, I guess another positive would be Andrew Norwell. Actually, Andrew Norwell, I think, is the only one that didn't allow a single pressure at all the whole entire game, who's been probably the best offensive lineman out of the whole group. The tackles continue to get, worse and worse. Jawan Taylor, I'm done. He needs to find a tackle. Cam Robinson, for the most part, throughout the season has been pretty good. This definitely was a game he struggled against. But I guess, at this point, I'm ready to see Walker Little at right tackle maybe, because Jawan Taylor is obviously not the answer at tackle. And then you had Ben Barch, who was getting whooped up on as well. Offensive line, though, just looked terrible. Trevor Lawrence never had time ever to step back. He was, Trevor Lawrence was inaccurate on some of his passes, but also, I mean, when he's getting, a big defensive lineman in his face within 2 seconds, there's not much you can do. And obviously, then you have Shenault dropping passes, Marvin Jones dropping passes, Agnew, even though how you talked about his bright spot, he stopped running on a 3rd down, which would have been a 1st down if he would have kept running. Yep. So the wide receivers a lot to blame, but it's mostly the coaches. I mean, this is a poorly coached football team, and coming out of a bye, I think I sent you that screenshot from Twitter. Did they not start practicing until Wednesday?
Yeah. I think Dewan Smoot came out and said that.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get I don't get it. I guess they just wanted to have the team. They got the first win. They said everybody just go home and relax for, a week and a half or whatever it is. I don't know, but it does seem like Urban's kind of treating this like college still. Of like, dude, these are professional athletes. You can't go and be like, oh, well, we're facing Geno Smith. Like, we're not facing Russell Wilson. We're on a bye week. They're on a short week of playing Monday Night Football and then coming here. Like, we can get away with kind of this relaxing this week. And I think it bit him in the ass. Like, honestly, I think Urban's still thinking this is college. He's still thinking he's Ohio State versus Minnesota every week or whatever. You can say we're facing Bama every single week, but it's really not even Bama. It's like the best version of Bama could possibly have is on the other side of that field. So I think Urban's got to get that out of his head. And I guess the rest of the coaching staff, I don't know what they're doing because they're NFL vets like Bevel and
Schottenheimer.
Yeah, it's blowing my mind right now. I'm tired, but like, just it's not looking good for this coaching staff. It's looking atrocious.
No, absolutely, just a poorly coached football team. Even Miles Jack, he actually, I guess before the game on Sunday when he got interviewed, I forgot who it was by. It might have been by one of the CBS guys or just some media person. But Miles Jack told the team, especially the defense, that I don't know if I sent this to you, but they're not good enough to overcome mistakes. They have to play mistake-free football. And that's when you know you're not a good football team.
Yeah.
I mean, you're one of your leaders on the team. Come out and say that we cannot make a single mistake on defense or we can't come back from it.
And that's not going to happen with Chason, with Tyson Campbell, with Wingard out there. I don't remember all the game. I don't think Wingard really was the reason, but he's right. Like, you're going to have to play perfect football. And they by far did not play perfect football on defense. That was one of the worst. Geno Smith, I think he set the record this year so far with 13 straight completions, something like that. And like, I mean, I'll give it to Geno Smith. Some of those passes were really good. Like, he had that one where it was an out route. I think it was either Lockett or Metcalf. They only had 3 completions by another player other than those 2 guys. But it was just a perfectly thrown ball. Like, the corner could do nothing about it. So like, I mean, Geno Smith played pretty good, but it's also the fact that he had no one in his face. He had all the time in the world. And we were putting Tyson Campbell on Lockett, and they were just like, we're just going to throw to Lockett every single time that Tyson Campbell is guarding him. They didn't care. They was like, we're just going to throw it up to him.
And Tyson Campbell is almost like 90% of his, balls thrown to him, which is not very good. We talked about how he is a rookie, but this Sidney Jones trade is just looking more and more stupid. Sidney Jones should have been your corner too. Tyson Campbell, you should have been at 3 or 4 and just let him develop this year. He should not be starting right now because he's just getting picked on. I don't know how that's going to help him in the near future.
Yeah, exactly. I think because he's there. Like, it's not like he's getting completely blown by.
He has the speed to be with people.
He's there every single time, every step of the way. He had a problem in college. He's having that problem now, and it's obviously not fixable. There's no way that we're 8 weeks into the NFL season and every week we come on here and we say the same exact thing about Tyson Campbell. He needs to find the ball. He's always there, but he needs to find the ball. They're telling him that. They're trying to teach him to find the ball. He obviously can't. Like, he could make a big switch like Diggs. Diggs was terrible last year for the Cowboys. Like, considered a complete bust after his first year. Dude set NFL records with interceptions. So you never know what could happen, but it's not looking good that this dude has this issue in college. And now we're over halfway into the season, almost halfway now. And he still has his issue. So it's not looking good. Looking like they missed on that.
And then you have draft picks. Yeah, with Asante Samuel, who was picked a little bit, after him, who you could have got. Walker Little, who you don't see at all. No. So, I mean, obviously, we knew that was going to be, he probably wasn't going to play this year, which is okay. Cisco barely plays. Luke Farrell is your second best rookie right now.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, literally, and that was the pick. Everybody was just like, well, that's a waste of the pick. Dude might not even make the team. And here he is. Luke Farrell's
second best tight end too. Then
he's a solid tight end 2, tight end 3. I think he'll be, he's not going to be like a big name.
He's a good blocker too.
He could be like a Jack Doyle for his career.
Yeah.
Like just a solid guy. He's going to be 10-year NFL vet. maybe a tight end 2, tight end 3 has like maybe 1 or 2 games in the year, and that's about it. That's what Luke Farrell. That's what he is.
Nothing wrong with that if that's your tight end 2 or tight end 3.
Which I think is fine. Like you said, one of the pod, Danton Arnold had 8 catches this game. Like he's obviously the tight end for the future for the Jaguars. I don't think we have to address tight end personally. I think I'm perfectly fine with him being our tight end 1. Gets more comfortable with the system, or Trevor Lawrence coming into next year with a training camp could even be even better. So at least we thought tight end, we completely missed on that. And luckily I think we found an answer at least for that position.
Yep. We had Dan Arnold, then you have Luke Farrell, then you have Manhurst, who is another blocker. So your tight end, I would still maybe draft someone like, late rounds next year, like a receiving back tight end to see what you can get. You never know.
There's the tight end class is pretty good this year. There's a lot of like, not like huge name guys, but in that second and third round, there's a lot. One guy is the guy from Alabama, Billingsley. Another one is a kid at Coastal Carolina, where he had like 4 touchdowns this year and had like some ridiculous 20 yards per catch last year. So like there's guys there that I think we could easily get in the second or third round in the tight end. But to me, offensive line, wide receiver, and corner are just the 3 most obvious needs on this team. And it's not even close. Those should be the first 3 picks, or at least addressed in free agency.
And also, I think defense tackle has to be thrown in there. They're not getting any. I mean, when it comes to stopping and run, they're good at it, but they're not getting any pressure. The defensive tackles, and that's you need that in a 3-4. They're the ones that start the pass rush. And a guy I'm looking at is Jordan Davis from Georgia. He's probably a top 5, top 6 pick. That dude's nasty. He's a monster. I'd be okay with him as well, but they need help, honestly, everywhere around the whole field. I talked about how Yumi talked about Trevor Lawrence, James Robinson, Marvin Jones. I guess I'll throw in Dan Arnold now. Brandon Linder, Josh Allen. That's probably only the people that's not tradable at this point.
Yeah, I think Norwell should be in there too now.
Yeah, Norwell.
Like you said, I mean, he was one of my cuts. I thought he was going to get cut just because of his salary, but you can't cut him. He's playing
one of the best guards in football right now.
Yeah, you can't cut him. Him and Linder are the only 2 consistent guys on that offensive line. And who knows, man? If we get that kid from Alabama, Neal. Put him at left tackle, move Cam Robinson to right tackle, Ben Barks is in there, and then you have Walker Little competing, I guess, for right tackle or even left tackle, depending on his progress over the offseason. I would be okay with that. And I think that's kind of where they need to go. Trevor Lawrence needs to be protected. You get the quarterback all the time in the world, receivers will get open. So
yeah, I agree.
I think that's the way to go in this draft.
And there's also 2 more players I do want to talk about. Rayshon Jenkins, who I was very high on, played very good in the beginning of the year. He's kind of struggling now. I think he's still a decent player, but I think he's not a starter on most teams right now. And it's sad. I really do think Cisco is the best safety, and we have yet to see him play on the team. Like, he's the best safety on the team.
Yeah, and Myra keeps saying we got to get him on the field. And then he plays 3 snaps. And it's like you need turnovers. I get that he may not be the best tackler. Winger maybe better at tackling. Winger maybe better at seeing the field of play.
But if you risk and take go for a ball.
He's a ball hawk. That's what he was known for. That's what you drafted him. You're not playing him there. Same with just everybody we drafted this year. It seems like we're just we need to get him out there. We really like this rookie class. We really like this class a lot. J2 File, barely seen him. Taven Bryan's getting 16, 20 snaps on defense, which is, I think, just ridiculous. I don't think Taven Bryan should even be in the NFL. And he's getting almost a quarter of all defensive snaps so far these games. I think that just shows how bad that the Jaguars really missed out. We missed out. Tyson Alalalu, the signing, him leaving the Jaguars to go play for Pittsburgh, I think hurt us a lot. I don't really know if he's doing anything this year, but he's better than Taven Bryan, probably. Yeah. Malcolm Brown can't do anything pass rush wise. Hamilton can only do so much. And then Harris has been hurt. And when he's out there, you don't even realize he's out there. So that might be our biggest bust in free agency, I think, so far was Harris.
Absolutely. And then you have Jordan Smith, who we drafted, and, they said, they understood, it was gonna be a risk, trade him to get him. It was going to be, a long time until we get to see him play, but let's see what he has, man. Right. 1-6. What if he is that guy that no one knew about, and he comes out here and gets 6 sacks right now, in his rookie year?
Yeah.
And you don't know, at this point, you should be playing all your rookies. That's just my thing.
Yeah,
evaluate.
Jason's not obviously doing anything. I don't even know if Jason will be on the team next year. From everything I've seen, I don't think he should. I think maybe we could get like a late pick for Chason. I think maybe some team could be like, well, let's bring him out of the Jacksonville. What that looks like coaching staff doesn't know what they're doing. And let's see if maybe they just aren't playing this guy correctly or coaching this guy correctly. Because physically he's there. Like physically, Chason should be pretty good. When you look at him on tape, and it's just he can't produce. And then he had that terrible offsides where he just tried to jump backwards and like fell. And so it's like I could see maybe in the trade deadline, maybe someone gets Chason just because he's super cheap and maybe they can pull something out of there. But yeah, it's one of the saddest I've ever been after a Jaguars game.
Oh, 100%. Then you have James Robinson who gets hurt, who luckily they said it's going to be day-to-day. But if he doesn't go this weekend against the Bills, we did get Exigbo back from the Saints. But in my personal opinion, I am running with Chenault at running back. He is Cordell Patterson. He's a running back playing wide receiver. When you see him with the hands on the ball, he runs like a running back. That's what he is. He's not an outside wide receiver.
Look what he did last year. Like I've been saying this for a couple of weeks now after the emergence of Cordell Patterson. I've been like, why haven't the Jags been copy paste? Like literally Chenault and Cordell Patterson they almost look identical too. Like I'm pretty sure if you put Cordell Patterson in a Jags jersey, like there would be a couple people and you put Chenault's number, there'd be a couple people that'd be like, that looks like Chenault, but it's not Chenault. Like who? Like it would be like they're almost the same player in my opinion. So it's like, why are we not seeing around the league? The teams obviously watch the league because I swear to God, I've never seen
copycat league.
How many plays this week did we see a jet sweep to a wide receiver and the wide receiver threw the ball, or it was like a pass back to the quarterback?
I've seen it 3 times on Monday Night Football already.
Yeah, and that was all over this week. Like it started with the 1:00 games, and then for like it seemed like this whole season, maybe seen a handful of those. And then this week, every game had one of those. Every single game had a wide receiver or a running back throwing the ball either to the quarterback and the quarterback throwing it, or they were throwing it. And some were darts. That one from Dallas, like again, like I think it was Wilson. He threw a complete dart on the run. Like he looked better than some of the quarterbacks that were playing, like actually on the field with some of those. But it's a copycat league, and I feel like the Jaguars are kind of like doing like Japan before they opened everything. They're like, we're only doing what we want to do. We don't care about everybody else. And everybody else is like picking off from each other, like, oh, that works. This works. And we're just here like, no, we're doing our own thing. And we may suck, but we're going to suck doing it our way.
Absolutely. But overall, Jags have a lot of evaluations to do. We have the Bills this coming Sunday, who I expect to lose, but I think they're actually a 14-point favorite, I believe, right now.
I think we'll cover.
But the one thing about the Jags is no matter how bad we've been, we will lose to teams like the Seahawks. A lot of people thought we were going to win, but we'll go against Buffalo. We'll lose, but we'll lose like 31-28. Yeah. Like we'll be competitive the whole game. The Cardinals game, for example.
Yep.
We should have got whooped. We were actually leading in the third quarter. And it's probably, honestly, I can see the same thing happen in Buffalo, where we hang in there for most of the game, and all of a sudden Buffalo comes out like in the fourth quarter and scores like 14 points.
It's the exact same thing that did to Miami. That is like almost, I think it would be almost identical to Miami. Miami's going to be like, oh, we got like, this little glimmer of hope. And then the fourth quarter hits and Josh Allen finds Diggs for a 50-yard touchdown. And then somehow Zach Moss breaks like a 20-yard or, just stuff like that's going to start happening.
And then Trevor Lawrence does a pick because he's trying to do so much. And
it's going to be like that, which I mean, and Jags typically so far they played pretty well at home. Like you said, like there haven't really been, their away games have been terrible with the Texans, obviously with Seahawks in this one. So we'll see what it's like home against the Bills. Not expecting
anything. Taking over.
Yeah, it probably will. A lot of Jags fans went to the Seattle game. Yeah. And I have a feeling a lot of them are going to be like, I just spent a lot of money to go to Seattle to watch one of the worst performances ever. I'm not about to spend even more money at home when I can just watch it on TV. And then if it goes bad, I can change it. Well, you're at Seattle, you're kind of stuck. Like,
yeah. But I mean, we just have a lot of improvement. We have a lot of at the end of the season, we really need to sit down at Urban Meyer and Shad Khan, and it's Urban Meyer. the guy, and if he is, he needs to really evaluate his whole coaching staff, because I know it's 1 year, but you need to find the right pieces
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
go all in on free agency. Like, I mean, spend everything and take a play out of the Rams book. I mean, look at them. They don't care about drafting players. Why don't we just go out and then trade for everyone? Screw draft picks. They don't pan out anyways for us.
Nope, they have not. Might as well go do it. And I'm telling you, man, like they need to. I don't know if there's amount of money Devontae Adams would take to come here, but we need to push that as hard as possible, because I've been going through my head, man. If we have Trevor Lawrence in his second year, Dan Arnold, Marvin Jones, I still think Chenault is a decent offensive player. He may not be your wide receiver 2, but if he's your 3-4, you're fine. Agnew, Devontae Adams, maybe you can get Chark on a 1 year, $6 million, prove it. Get ETN back, James Robinson. Maybe you get Neal as your tackle. Like, I just feel like that would be just the most electric offense we could have, barring injuries, because obviously Jaguars have been hit pretty hard with injuries this year too. Like, it's not like they've escaped the injury bug playing bad too. Cam's out for the year. ETN couldn't even play. Chark's out for the year. O'Shawn, I believe, got hurt. And then like Linder, I think, went in and out. So it's not like the Jaguars are like healthy and they're just playing bad. They're also got the injury bug. Like, they're not necessarily the healthiest team either. So maybe if we can just be healthy next year and actually get proven guys instead of taking risks like Harris. Harris was a risk this year out of Chicago. Like, he was decent, but he wasn't like big, not a big name guy. And we paid him a lot of money, and that's going to be a bust. Like, I don't see Harris making up for the money that we're paying him.
No, absolutely. You go back to Adams. If we can't get Adams, you still have someone like Chris Godwin, who'll be a free agent. Allen Robinson. Any of these guys will help. And then if you can't get one of those guys, look for teams like the Broncos, who have Cortland Sutton on a 1-year deal. These guys have 1-year deals. I mean, Cortland Sutton can come here and easily be the wide receiver 1. Obviously, we're not in trade for him tomorrow on the trade deadline. I would like for us maybe to trade wide receiver, because even if we're 1-6, I would still like to get a veteran in here for wide receiver to just help Trevor Lawrence grow.
Yeah.
Like, you have look at Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson, he wants to get traded from a team that's 7-1 because he's not getting enough targets. So what does that say? Obviously, he might not want to go to a winning team. So if we can get him for a 7th round pick, not saying it's going to happen, but he would obviously help Trevor Lawrence out. He would be that deep threat as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I mean, man, it really does suck, because the whole Derrick Henry news with him being out for the year, the Carson Wentz is just, I don't know what Carson Wentz is doing, throwing games for the Colts. If we could have just won this freaking game, man,
we would have been in it.
We would still be in it. And it would be like, we have no business being in this hunt. And here we are, we're in the hunt. 49ers aren't looking great. We thought that was a lot. We still had the Jets, the Falcons, the Patriots on. Like, it was like, and then the Colts, like I said, with Carson Wentz, and then now there's gonna be no Derrick Henry for the second game. The Texans look terrible. Too. Like, we could have, like, I'm not saying we're still not gonna make a run. I still think we're far from. I think the Jags are still gonna win games. Like, all those games I listed, I still think we have at least a shot at winning like a few of those. So it's just very disappointing with how we lost some of these games beginning of the year against competitive teams. I mean, literally the Jags lost 3 straight games to teams that, before the Derrick Henry injury, obviously, were 3 top 10 teams, with the Bengals, who I don't know how the Jets, that was just a miracle. I feel like a fluke. The Cardinals and the Titans, and we played all of them, honestly, pretty well. We were winning all those games. We were within score, like 1 point. The refs were god awful on all 3 of those games. Like, Jags have not gotten a break. We got a break against Miami. That was the one game that was like, I feel like the refs weren't killing us. And this game, that was all us. But yeah, except for some of those roughing the passer calls, though, were like some of the softest roughing the passer calls I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. But other than that, though, we killed ourselves.
Yeah. Other than those 2 roughing the passers, everything was like, yeah, I totally get why we liked all those calls. So it was like, we were competitive in 3 games in which these 3 teams had a combined record at that point of like 17-4. And then we come out in Seattle on a bye week and just lay a dud like that. It's kind of like, it's confusing of like, we were getting better every week playing, and then we just do this. It's completely kills everything.
It's like what I said earlier. We'll play like the Seahawks without Russell Wilson. Probably when we play the Jets, we'll get whooped up on. But Cardinals, Bengals, Titans, and probably the Bills this weekend will be very competitive. We'll show some hope, and then we'll end up losing. But that's just how the Jags are. I mean,
as long as Trevor Lawrence is healthy at the end of the year, it's whatever. Yeah. Honestly, like at this point, that's what it is. Had hopes for maybe possible playoff contention this year with the schedule and the AFC South being bad, but now it's just don't let Trevor Lawrence get hurt and don't mess up this offseason in the draft, because you only get rookies on quarterback deals, not that often, and Trevor Lawrence is going to be costly when he comes into it. So the Jags got 4 more years to get it together. And if they don't get it in the next 4 years, not saying it's over, but this next 4 years are the most important years for the Jaguars to be competitive.
Absolutely. And then I guess I give a congratulations for the Titans for winning the division 8 and 9 now.
Yeah, maybe not even, maybe 7 and 10. Like, who knows, because Derrick Henry was that was their offense. I'm devastated in my fantasy league with Derrick Henry being out. Like,
then you also have Calvin Ridley in your other one.
Well, yeah, that's in our other 2 on the NFL app.
Yeah,
my big CBS one I have, and Kyler Murray's kind of iffy. Those are my 2 big scores. I've been winning every single week with those 2, and I have a chance of those 2 being out next week, and that's going to kill me.
Luckily for the Titans, though, they said Derrick Henry might be able to return for the playoffs.
I'm keeping him. I don't care. I'm not letting him out if he's there. Because I'm going to make the playoffs in that league. I'm going to be 7-1, and the closest person to me is like 3-4 or whatever. So I'm making the playoffs in that league. So I'm not getting rid of Derrick Henry. You can't.
Yeah.
You put him on the waiver wire.
Before we go, did you see last week, Sean McVay for the Rams said that if they make the playoffs, which they obviously will, that Cam Akers could actually come back?
Yeah, I mean, Hunter Henry did it not too long ago too, where he tore his ACL in the off-season, I think just before preseason, just same time Cam Akers, and he was able to come back for a playoff game. So I really don't think they need him. I think Darrell Henderson is playing well enough.
So just having him there, though, is always good.
I would just feel terrible if they kind of rush him back for a playoff game in which they're playing pretty well without him, and then they ruin him for his career. Because I think Cam Akers he was a stud at FSU. Like, he had one of the worst offensive lines ever collegiately, like literally ranked like 200 something out of 205 of the FBS, and he still would get 100 yards. Like, that dude is going to be a good running back. And I hope they don't screw him over by rushing him to come back when they don't really, it doesn't seem like they really need him right now.
No, yeah, I agree 100%. But anyway, already 8 weeks through the NFL season, kind of flying by. I always tell everyone, even though we'll obviously be at the Bills game, but enjoy football, enjoy the Jags playing, because once football season ends, we'll be wishing that we had football on, even though we're losing every week. It is what it is. But thank you all for listening. Definitely check us out on Twitter, 904 more, and go Jags.
Go Jag.